Hey, we're here this afternoon with Commissioner and Board President Tom Bernabei, and today at the Commissioners meeting, the Commissioners hired Brant Luther as their new Chief Administrator to succeed Mike Hankey, who Commissioner Bernabei reminded us all today again only has 23 days left. So we're here to ask Commissioner Bernabei what inspired him to be part of the unanimous decision on the part of the commissioners to hire Brant Luther.
The decision was unanimous. Again, I restate, as I said in the meeting today, we started with approximately 30 candidates. We looked at those candidates, and the primary characteristic of the candidates that we chose to interview versus the ones that we chose not to interview, and we had some very good candidates who were unrelated to the area of government and so forth, who had good abilities but outside of government, where there was a pool of at least 5 very well qualified candidates that had previous governmental administrative experience. And it was on that basis, plus their overall resume, education, and so forth, but plus their ability and experience in government that led us to narrow the field from the 30 to the 5 that we interviewed. So we interviewed approximately 10 days ago to 2 weeks ago 5 candidates. All the interviews were very, very good. They were all very able persons. We narrowed that down to 2, and we conducted a second round of interviews with those 2. And from that second round, and from that point, and I think that I mentioned this last week because you asked me about that, I was impressed again with all 5 of the finalists. We were very impressed with both of the last 2 finalists. It was very close considerations. Brant was offered the job primarily on the basis of his greater familiarity and involvement with county government. He served as county auditor, and of course he works in the family court, so he's very familiar with, again, the workings of county government and in many areas of it already, and we felt that that was a benefit. In addition, he has a law degree, which I think will be beneficial to the analysis of some issues. But all in all, he was the choice. The second candidate, and again, I can't speak too highly of him, and I want to speak highly of him, and that was Chris Nichols, who was the Canton Township trustee. Chris did a great interview, did a great second interview, very, very well qualified, and if we could hire both of them, and we had the ability to hire both of them, we would hire both of them. They were those kind of candidates, and both in character and family and personality and experience and so forth. Just both excellent candidates, but it came down to Brant having the edge with the governmental experience, and I think that the professional degree with the law degree is also an added benefit.
I was somewhat intrigued with the candidate from Geauga County, where he was a county administrator. Can you shed any light on why he didn't make the final list? That
was David Lair, and we were all very, very, very impressed with him. As I said, all 5 candidates I thought were very, very good. We were very impressed with David Lair. He has a number of years of experience there. I think he may have been president of the County Administrators Association statewide. So he's got a lot of experience. Everything was a plus with him, but for one thing, and that was he's probably close to a retirement age at some point in time. I think he would have stayed here for 3 or 4 or 5 years, or maybe longer, but I don't know. He was, I think, 60 or 61 years old. But he indicated to us that that is his home. I think that his children live near him, his family and his grandchildren live near him, and at least initially he didn't want to move to the Stark County area. We felt that living in Stark County was an absolute must for this, both from the fact that we want to have somebody in Stark County living here, a Stark County, and to have this job, but also from the fact that somebody living an hour plus away, on a daily basis, sooner or later that leads to trouble, whether it's traffic or whatever, getting here on time and or dealing with emergency situations and so forth. And although I think he suggested he may consider moving here at some point in time, realistically, again, from my perspective, is being at that age or even a little bit older, but knowing how important family is to one and so forth, I don't think that would want to even offer him the choice. I guess it's not a positive choice of saying take a job and or leave a base of family. So we really eliminated him solely on the fact that he lived up there and was probably not going to happily move to Stark County. He may have done so for economic reasons and so forth, but we just decided we didn't want to even voice that choice upon him.
Picking up on Commissioner Regula's point, commenting on the hire in the discussion right before you passed the resolution, his hope was that Brant Luther would be a long-term chief administrator. Was that a common feeling from your standpoint, and maybe Commissioner Creighton's?
Yes, institutional knowledge is very important. I mean, commissioners are elected every 4 years, and they can come and they can go. Ideally, you want an administrator here that can off-balance that instability that potentially exists. So you want to create somebody with that institutional knowledge. So it's something that we discussed with him. I think we discussed it with all candidates. And one of the interview topics in the course of everybody's interview was, what are you looking for? Are you looking for this as a stepping stone to something else? Or are you looking for this as a longer-term commitment? And what we were looking for was somebody with a longer-term commitment. And Brant indicated that he was giving us that long-term commitment.
Now, Brant does have a pretty strong, at least historical, political connection. Was that at all a concern to the commissioners?
That was a concern to the commissioner. That was a concern to me, being the Democrat as opposed to the Republicans. Of course, Brant's connection was as a Republican. He was a Republican auditor. So that was discussed, and it was discussed up front with him, probably on both interviews. And the discussion was that the county administrator, although you're entitled to maintain your party allegiance, from a personal perspective, by the way, during the hours of 8 to 5 when you're on duty, there is no party allegiance. You represent county government and without regard to party. And he understands that very, very well. And I think even in the capacity that he has now in the family court, it's the same kind of a scenario. And we, further discussed the fact that even after hours, whereas previously, you may or may not get involved in people's campaign on a personal preference because you know them or otherwise, indicated the desire that, again, because if you choose sides, even on a personal basis, you may choose sides with a winner, but you may also choose sides with a loser. And that may affect your ability to perform this job in a proper fashion. So both of those issues, were discussed with him, and he fully understands the necessity to essentially set aside any and all, political leanings with regard to the performance of the job, both here and afterwards. I, in fact, asked him if he would become a Democrat to take the job, and he declined that.
Or did Commissioner Creighton join in on that desire?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think all the commissioners feel that it's important. Again, Commissioner Creighton talked about him being the face of the county. It's a topic that we actually use that description in our conversations with him and the other candidates, and that is we want this person to represent the commissioner's office, but also the the day-to-day face of county government, and it's important, therefore, that that person be seen as essentially, apolitical with regard to his decision-making and administration of county government.
But returning to the humorous point that you made about converting him to being a Democrat, did Commissioner Creighton join in on that?
Oh, absolutely. She would love to see him become a Democrat.
One final question. The media has talked to Brant right before your executive session today, and one of the things that came up is, and he told us that he's going to continue to try and keep a low-level private practice going. Did that come up at all
That issue was also discussed, and that issue was, you know, a question raised by me being
An attorney,
lawyer,
right.
and I was aware that he, you know, had a practice. I don't know how busy that practice is or is not. I think that it's relatively low level from the things that he said and so forth, and just by the nature of the other job that he has. And again, it's the same answer to that question that we have with that was given with regard to the political aspect. By the way, you are the face of county government during the hours of 8 to 5. You know, there can be no conflict with any client or with any other matters on your mind. You know, I think it's possible for him, for example, to handle a small probate practice, because that's, you know, form filing and those kinds of things where we meet with people at night and so forth, and it's not, you know, won't involve the courts other than the probate court and so forth with the filing of forms and so forth. So that type of a thing, that some of those things that the lawyers might do, they might prepare a deed for somebody, type of thing. So I think when he's talking about a low-level practice, that's probably what we're talking about. But we had a very explicit conversation, and that is, in this office, you cannot have any time conflicts. I mean, we want your 100% of your time devoted to county government, county business, and we don't want any conflicts with regard to any potential representations or involvement with any different office holders and so forth.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I think you covered everything.